Hey everybody, welcome back to the members content. Thanks for being a subscriber. Thanks for being faithful. Thanks for your patronage. It means a lot to me that there are those of you who like what I do and want to see more of it. I promise to give you more of it. Today, we're gonna look at Gaff decks. I love Gaff decks. You probably do too, because whenever I do Gaff reviews, the view count on those is really high. Either that or it's muggles. But we'll say it's you guys. We'll say it's you guys, all right? It's not muggles. I think the last time I did a video, it was like a top 7, I think. It was a top 7 because that's how many Gaff decks I had, or at least that's how many I was showing. I had some more and I thought, you know what, let's just get them all. So instead of doing a top 10, we'll do a top 11. That's right. Not top 10 here at Magic Orthodoxy. We do a top 11. Actually, you know what? The Jerry's deck came out recently, and I could always go back and revisit that. So we'll do a top 12, okay? Top 12 Gaff decks, but actually, yeah, the T-Swords, I didn't get a chance to cover that. I've never thrown that one into the list. So we'll do what, 12, 13. We'll do a top 13. I got more. So we'll not do top 13. How about top 14? Top 14, because I just did the DMC Gaffs, did a review for that. So we could do 14, right? Now actually, we could do 15 because we have the black knocks. So we'll do a top 15. So 15 Gaff decks. No one's ever done that before. If no one's ever done 15, they probably have never done 16. So we'll do the Brooklyn Gaffs as well. Top 16 Gaff decks. Here we go. All right, 16 Gaff decks for my collection. I think it's all of them. I think it's all of them. I was racking my brain trying to think, do I have all of them? I think 16 is the limit. I think 16 is all of them. And let's just say, I'll put them in order. I will. They're in order. But they're just not in a lock solid, hold me to this order, okay? They're not. It's kind of fluid because, I mean, let's just face it. At the end of the day, a lot of these cards are the same. Right? And if they're not exactly the same, they're super close. And Gaffs can be used for so many different things, even beyond the things that they teach you in the instructional videos. If you've got double backers and double facers, blank face cards, blank back cards, right? The sky's the limit. There's hundreds of effects you can do with those cards. So literally any Gaff deck can do hundreds of effects, probably, right? So the only difference then is the deck going to be exclusive to a specific back design? Like, you know, if there's a Gaff deck that has a red bicycle back or a blue bicycle back, obviously those cards can be used more because those cards are more easily accessible to you, right? If you have a deck like the Brooklyn Gaffs or the Black Knocks or the Jerry's, then obviously those Gaffs only work best with the deck that is their mate, the deck that they're partnered with. So which means you have to have 2 decks. You have to have, you know, the Brooklyn deck and the Brooklyn Gaff. So that could weigh in. Like the Jerry's Nuggets deck, that didn't come with any instructions at all. And people have written in the comment section and said, hey, can you give us a little bit more information about the Jerry's Gaffs and what these Gaffs do? My guess is as good as yours. And some you recognize, right? Some you do. Others you're like, I have no clue what you just make something up. Or maybe you do recognize it from some obscure book, right? You're like, there's that Gaff. But otherwise, if you don't get instructions, then they're hard to decipher. So that could be a factor. Or, you know, when they do give you instructions, one set of Gaff says over 40 tricks and the other one is 26 tricks. So there's that as well. So like I said, I'm putting these in order, but they're just kind of loosely in order, okay? Loosely in order, but you'll get the drift. Let's look at some decks. All right, so starting at the bottom, my number 16th deck is the T-Swords Gaff deck, the T-Swords Gaff deck. I'll say it's at the bottom because it's just a lot of standards, okay? There's a lot of blank backs in this and a lot of blank faces. And I'll be honest, I don't need blank cards. I don't. And I don't always think they're the greatest Gaff, and there's a lot of blanks in this. There's double facers and double backers. And I think beyond those standards, the only other Gaffs you get are for McDonald's Aces. And there's some color changing cards. The decks came in like a wine burgundy and a black. And so you'll get cards for both sets. But like I said, it's an exclusive deck. You have to have the T-Swords deck in order to appreciate this. And I think the T-swords, they've been out for a while and they're just becoming harder and harder to find. But if you have the T-swords and you like them and you want to get some standard gaffs that are, like I said, double backers, double facers, blank face cards, then this is good. And then my 15th deck in the list is the Brooklyn 101 Gaff deck. And again, the same reason about the T-Series. This is an exclusive deck, so you have to have the Brooklyn 101s in order to use the Gaffs. The Brooklyn 101s are still available. You can still buy these cards. I see them at penguinmagic.com. The Gaff cards are not for sale there. You might have to go to brooklynplayingcardcompany.com to pick those up. The other thing I would say about this deck is, again, it's a lot of standards. You're getting standards to do standard when there's nothing wrong with standards, right? There's nothing wrong with standards, but there's not a lot of creativity here. There's double backers, double facers, blank face, blank backs, and I think you're going to get the cards to do Skinner's Ultimate 3-card Monty. Next up is the Black Knock deck from the Blue Crown, Alex Pandrea. Again, exclusive deck. You'll need the Black Knocks, right? You'll need the Black Knocks to use these with, but I think Black Knocks have come out in more than one variation. There was a very old Black Knock set, and then there was a recent one. You can still get these at penguinmagic.com as well. And the other thing I like about this deck is there's a lot of very creative cards in here. So aside from getting the cards that you're going to recognize, there's a 2-card in one, there's creative jokers, there's split face cards. You're going to get a set of ESP cards. You'll get a 3-card Ultimate Monty in here. You'll get multiple cards on one card, a fingerprint card, reverse mirror image cards. You'll get the blurry card. You'll get a card that says, "This is your card." You get an Ouija board card. You'll get the mnemonica stack. You'll get a tiny card that you can cut out. Again, lots of standards and lots of creative things. But like I said, you need the Black Knocks to use this deck. Next up is the new Jerry's Gaffs, right? The new Jerry's Gaffs that came out with the Kickstarter release. The Jerry's cards are also still available in stores. I've seen these for sale at penguinmagic.com. These Gaffs are very creative. Lots of very creative cards in this deck. And these cards are so creative, they seem very specific, like there was certain specific trick ideas in mind. But like I said earlier, there's no video instruction. There's no instruction at all. There's nothing to indicate how you would use these. You get a lot of rainbow colored cards, split cards. There's a $1 Monty reveal card, multiple cards on one card. There's an 11 of hearts, blur card, 3.5 card, twisted card, joker reveals. You'll get some standard double backers, double facers, blank face cards, quad pipped cards. You'll get extra cards to do card to impossible location. Like I said, lots of very creative cards, fun cards to look at, just no instructions on how to do any of these tricks. Next up, I got 2 decks from Copag, 2 decks from Cartamundi. The Copag 310s, very popular deck. Lots of people love them. They were given away at Magi Fest, and shout out to Cartamundi for their recent collab with Bicycle, acquiring Bicycle cards. Together, they are a force to be reckoned with. They are the card company, right? They are the card company. Copag has 2. They have a Gaff Deck 1 and a Gaff Deck 2. Gaff Deck 1 is going to be a lot of standards, okay? Again, we're talking double backers, double facers, blank face, blank backs. You'll get reds and blues. You'll get double backers of red and blues. You can do color changing deck. But again, all standards, no instructions at all. These are still available for sale. I believe they're $7 deck at penguinmagic.com. Then you got the Gaff Deck 2. The Gaff Deck 2, again, Copag 310s, again, Cartamundi, same back design, same familiar brand name that you're going to know and love. This deck, a lot more creative cards, a lot more of the creative, like crazy cards, but again, no instructions, and I do believe they're harder to find. They are actually sold out at penguinmagic.com. This deck is going to have the King's Sword that's piercing one of the cards. It'll have the smeared cards, the shattered cards, the missed index, the missed pip cards, the 52 on 1 card, the twisted ace card. There's an ace of shamrocks in here. There's a card reveals on jokers, card reveals on aces, coins that are printed on the faces of cards. There's a tree of hearts. There's a smoke card, a 4.5 of clubs. There's cards in here that look like the card box. There's ESP cards. Lots of very creative very colorful, fun to look at cards in the Gaff 2 box set. Next up, we got the Gaff System from Ellusionist. Gaff System from Ellusionist was a release a while back. I believe it was Adam Wilbur, Daniel Madison, Kaylin Morelli. There's 15 effects in this. That's if you get the download video. If you go to Ellusionist.com, this is still available. You can still get this deck. It's only $3. That's right. This deck's only $3 at Ellusionist.com, but you still need the download video if you want to learn how to do the tricks. And you need the download video. Okay, the download video is $20. There's 15 effects, but the tricks, those 15 effects are exclusive to this deck. You're not going to find those tricks anywhere else. And they're also kind of very consumable. You have to tear these cards, wrap these cards around bottles, and once you fold and destroy these cards, they're gone, which is great that they're only $3 because then you can go buy another deck. But these aren't like your standard gaffs where you'll use them over and over again. Like I said, you use it once and they're gone. But they're eye candy, they're very relevant, they're fun to watch, they're very creative, and they'll work with any of your green or blue Artifice decks. Next up is the Gaff Effect deck from First Magic Studio. This was one of my very favorite Gaff decks when it first came out. It boasted at being able to do over 50 effects. Over 50 effects because you get standards in here plus a lot of your favorite creative cards. This deck is going to have the fingerprint smear, the lipstick card, the 2 cards on 1, reversed color cards where the spades are red. There's 2 cards blurred together, smeared together. There's the 2 hearts that are joined, touching the little sweetheart card. There's the watermark reveal card, multiple cards on 1, torn corner cards, multiple heads on court cards, 3.5 of spades, 52 on 1 card, a 21 of spades, Joker reveals, missing queens, the bicycle tuck box, faded cards, reversed mirrored cards, and so much more. If you get a chance and you see this deck out there, I would recommend that you buy it because there's some very creative gaffs in here. But that said, it is harder to find. I haven't seen it for sale in a while. And then right next door to that one is another deck that feels exactly the same. This is the Bacopo Gaff deck. This was a release they did on Kickstarter, and I believe it's on its second printing by now. You can go to penguinmagic.com and find it. You're going to look for it under the word Chic, C-H-I-C. It says it's a Chic deck. There's some newer cards in there, so some of the cards I have won't be in the new deck, but it's still available. There's a lot of crossover in this one. It feels a little bit like the weapons deck, we'll look at it in a minute, and the previous deck I just did, the first effect deck. And like I said, you're going to get a lot of the same crossover cards. The 2 cards on 1, the scratch card, there's a UPC card. Again, there's the fingerprint card, there's some arrow cards, the lipstick card, the is this your card, a question mark card. There's a puppy paw print card. There's cards that are misindexed or the pips are missing. There's multiple cards on 1. You'll get the mismatched color cards, the multiple heads on 1 card. There's card reveals on court cards, card reveals on jokers. There's a 99 of hearts card and a 21 of spades. You'll get all the cards to spell out love, L-O-V-E, and you'll get a set of ESP cards as well. Next up is the DMC Elites Gaff deck. And let me just say right here, if you ever want to see any of these decks in more detail, I have reviewed all of these back on the Magic Orthodoxy channel. You definitely could go and just do a simple search on YouTube and you can find out more about these cards. Again, this is a deck that you're going to need a specific deck for, namely the DMC Elites, which is a marked deck, by the way. Marked deck, and these gaffs are also marked for gaff, which is the first time I've ever seen that done. So Phil Smith and DMC definitely get a shout out for that. With this deck, it's a little bit more money. The deck, I believe, is $20. And the instructional booklet is $20, and I really recommend you getting the booklet. You won't be able to do some of these effects without it. They're not obvious enough. The booklet, however, only teaches you 6 tricks, and then there's 5 more marketed effects in the book, but they don't teach you how to do them, but they're counting on you knowing how to do them. Plus, you'll get standards like double backers, double facers, and blank face cards, but again, like I said, they're all marked. Next up is the Madison Gamblers. This deck came out a while ago. Obviously, it's a Daniel Madison release, but it was when Daniel Madison was with Ellusionist. This deck also comes with a download, and I would recommend highly that you get that as well because several of these cards are exclusive to this deck. But that said, this deck is also cheap. You go down to Ellusionist.com, it's $3. $3 a deck for a Daniel Madison deck, $3 a deck for a Gaff deck. You want it. The download, however, is $30. $30, and you will learn 14 tricks, 14 exclusive tricks from Daniel Madison. The second half of the entire download is a beautiful video on theory where Daniel Madison talks to a bunch of content creators about how gaffs should work, our right mentality when thinking about gaffs, how gaffs should be used. It's a great video to watch. I highly recommend it. And I will say those card tricks are hard. Those card tricks are hard. It's going to be a lot of the Daniel Madison knuckle-busting gambling style moves that he does, so just buyer beware. And they're exclusive cards. They're either going to work with the black rounders or the green dealers. So if you have those two decks, that's what you need those gaffs for. Next up is the Ellusionist Gaff deck. Now the Ellusionist Gaff deck is one of the very first gaff decks Ellusionist ever came out with. I don't believe you can get this deck anywhere. Like, it's really hard to find. In fact, after they came out with this, they later changed it to the Ghost Gaff deck. They had to have their own back design because Bicycle started changing the rules about what could be done, how you could manipulate their back design. This deck had a companion video called Army of 52, which was Justin Miller, and it was 14 tricks that they taught you on the video, plus there were 19 other usable cards. Mostly a lot of them were reveal cards, Joker reveal cards, and then some of your standards like double backers, double facers. But Army of 52, literally, like it says, each one of these little cards is a worker and will enable you to do just a whole ton of effects. Very creative deck, lots of content, and it's Bicycle, so it works with anything. Next up is Ultra Gaff from Daniel Garcia and Wayne Houchin. This was one of the very first gaff decks I ever got. This was a massive project from Ellusionist when it first came out. It was 3 DVDs and a deck, and it was really expensive when it first came out. It's another one of those Ellusionist decks that I think is really hard to find, but it's a classic gaff deck, and I know it's sought after greatly by collectors. The good of this deck was it was lots of creative cards that you've never seen anywhere else. There's a lot of miscolored cards. There's a UPC barcode card. There's an American Express card. There's 2 cards on one, 4 cards on one, quad head court cards, miss pip index courts, smeared cards, blurred cards. There's a card with batteries on it, scratch off cards. There's a sexy card, a green card, the sword through the card. There's an ink spot card. Highly creative cards. The bad is these cards are the clumpiest cards I've ever had from Bicycle. They're super clumpy. I have no idea why they're so clumpy, but they are. But the other thing is Ellusionist really rushed the production of this. You know, even in the trailer they said, we gave them 2 weeks to come up with tricks. And then after we printed the decks, we gave them another 2 weeks to record it. Like, it was just fast. Like, it feels fast and it feels rushed. The videos aren't very polished. It's, you know, the two of them goofing off, and it's fun to watch. They're hilarious, and they do a lot of jokes, and Daniel Garcia is hilarious, and, you know, Wayne Houchin's trying to be the straight man through the whole thing. They're funny to watch, but the videos don't feel like they have any lasting value that you would still watch them today. And like I said, the tricks that come in this are very exclusive to the tricks that they teach. It'd be hard for you to come up with your own tricks for some of these cards. But I think because it was one of the first gaff decks I ever got, it's a favorite of mine, and it's just nostalgia, and I'm sure it's a favorite for a lot of people that bought it back then too. Next up is the Weapons deck from Eric Ross. This is one of my favorite decks because it's a good balance of everything. It came with instructional video. Eric Ross teaches you how to use the cards, which is great. It's Bicycle backed, which you like. It has standards in there, which you need, but it also has the fun creative cards as well. So it's kind of the best of everything. And yeah, it's my go-to deck. Whenever I'm looking for a gaff, I usually go to Weapons Box first to find what I'm looking for. Next up is the Visual Lies Gaff deck from Mechanics Industries. This project checks off all the boxes, which is why it's my top 2. It is an exclusive back. Of course, you need the Optrix deck to do the effects, and it doesn't work well without it. I know they say that you only need this deck, but it really helps if you have both, and that's how I would recommend that you do it. 18 tricks, a massive video, and you're not going to find gaff cards like these anywhere. Very creative, super creative, lots of photography in this. Yes, bad news. A lot of these are very angle sensitive. You got to be super brave, super ballsy to pull some of these off. But if you can, they look great in real life. They look fantastic on social media. This is a great, great project. Watch the trailer for this. And then number one is my favorite right now, the Cohort Gaff System from Lloyd Barnes and Ellusionist.com. Again, this project checks off all the boxes for me. Yes, it is an exclusive back design. You will need the cohorts, but the great thing is if you buy the set, it's a 2-deck set, you'll get a regular deck of cohorts and you'll get the gaffs. I recommend that you get the marked cohorts, get those instead, because then you'll have an entire deck of marked cards and gaff cards. That's a set that is indestructible. Like that is a force to be reckoned with. This set is $35. Like I said, it's 2 decks. You get 5 hours of explanation. And come on, it's Lloyd Barnes and Ellusionist. You can't go wrong. These tricks are hyper visual. They look great in real life, look great on social media. Relevant cards, fun cards, new cards that you'll be doing tricks no one's ever seen before. I love these. All right, so that's all my gaff decks. I hope you like this as much as I did recording it. I love gaff cards. I do. I love gaff cards, and I'll tell you right now, if somebody else releases another gaff deck tomorrow, I will buy that one also. I don't even do a lot of gaff magic. I don't do a lot of gaff magic, but I just love the cards. Maybe one day I'll just throw all the cards up on my wall and just make some sort of wallpaper out of gaff cards, or maybe I'll frame all my favorite gaff cards in big frame pieces and stick those in my office when I'm an old retired magician. But I don't know what it is. I just love them. I love trick cards. There's something fun about just doing a card trick with trick cards and the person you're doing it for doesn't realize it. But yeah, gaff cards, they push my buttons. So I love them. I don't know if you love them as much as me. Tell me in the comment section below. Thanks again for being loyal. Thanks for being faithful. Thanks for being a contributor. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks. Bye.